Assembly Member Garbett, then, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm really concerned about your growth plan and how it will actually benefit many Londoners. I think some of the maths is quite questionable, and I wanted to just raise my concerns about opening. London's been open to overseas investment for decades, and what it's resulted in is increasing house prices, increasing rent, land banking, speculation, 300,000 homes that haven't been built that have planning permission. And I just, we're seeing the city emptying out of nurses and children and teachers. In November, an economist from King's College wrote a paper on the UK housing market and said that foreign investment reduces affordability and that there's no evidence that foreign investment has encouraged the construction of new housing. So it's simply not in the interests of overseas investors for housing to become more affordable. So I just want to know why you think that this will be a solution to the housing crisis now.
So many examples that she refers to is when there was a previous London plan, not the current London plan. So the current London plan makes it quite clear what our expectations are when it comes to housing and affordable housing. What we're not in favour of is the laissez-faire approach when it comes to housing or investment in our city. And I was quite clear whenever I speak to investors, we do want foreign investment for the simple reason there is not enough investment from the government or from British investors to do the infrastructure, the transport infrastructure, the housing that we need. So we do need FDI, and it should be good foreign direct investment. And I speak to foreign investors who are creating jobs, wealth and prosperity on a daily basis in our city. And you look at parts of our city where you've seen the fruits of that FDI, but you're right to infer we've got to make sure it's not a free-for-all, and it's not free-for-all in relation to the plans that we have.
And just making sure it really does benefit the Londoners who really need it. I don't think this plan's had enough scrutiny. I think it's taking a bit of a gamble, and I'm not convinced it's really going to pay off for Londoners, but I'll go back to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm deeply concerned about your growth plan. The numbers don't add up. For decades, foreign investment has pushed up prices, driven speculation, and left 300,000 approved homes unbuilt. Nurses, teachers, and families are being priced out. A King's College study found foreign investment raises costs without adding homes. Why will this plan be different? The current London plan demands affordable housing. We need outside investment because domestic funds can't meet the scale of London's needs. But it must be responsible investment that creates jobs and prosperity, not speculation. This plan still feels like a gamble, and I'm not convinced it will deliver for London.
I think Shabana Mahmood, the new Home Secretary, she's making interesting remarks now about indefinite leave to remain. Migrants who want to be here for a long time for their lives must do voluntary work. That's interesting. That's in the Sun on Sunday. That is, I think I've got a lot of people buying shares heavily in the new Home Secretary to get to grips with small boats and being tough on the issue of migration.
And yet, the Prime Minister's rhetoric this morning is that it's a racist policy.
That was attacking Reform's policy to deport people here. He says that's right there. That's strong language. You heard from Jake Berry on your show earlier. It's not language. I think using the racist word is what I think shows a panic in Labour. Don't say the word racist. Take on the arguments, but that really means anyone backing that party is racist, and that's very dangerous.
And I don't think that's true at all. In my constituency, when I speak to people who have voted Reform, maybe voted Reform in the local elections.
Are they racist?
No, I don't think they are, and I don't think to have concerns about immigration is racist at all, and we shouldn't be calling out as racist, because I do think...
So why call it racist? Why call a policy racist when you want to remove migrants? Why say that word?
Because I do have lots of conversations with people where they are concerned about immigration, but they also acknowledge that legal immigration, when done right, is a good thing. And what Nigel Farage said around removing indefinite leave to remain and taking legal immigrants out of the country is ripping apart communities. I mean, I know in my constituency, for example, I have a big hospital. There are lots of people working there who come from other countries, come here, and they make our public services and they make our country better. And when immigration is done good, we should acknowledge it.
Sure.
But when it's not done right, we also need to call it out, and that doesn't make you racist by calling it out.
Isn't that Reform argument an argument for quality over quantity? If it is right, as Nigel Farage announced in that bombshell press conference last week, that over half of those who are on indefinite leave to remain are also claiming welfare benefits and access to the NHS, that they're actually a drain on the British economy. They're not a net positive, they're a net negative.
Well, that's almost a separate issue in terms of people, the increase of people claiming benefits, and that is something that we need to crack down on. We need to get people into work. We need to make sure that they're contributing to our economy as well. But that doesn't take away from the fact that immigration does benefit our country in so many ways.
But on that note, Rosie, because I know this is kind of like reformish territory, but do you have an opinion on how swiftly migrants to this country should be able to claim benefits and access to the NHS? If I emigrated to America, I know they've got a different kind of health system there, there'd be no welfare support for me, there'd be no health support for me. I would expect to go out there on a green card, earn my own way, and not rely on the state at all.
I think it's vital that when people come to this country, they make Britain their home. We're a fantastic country. It is a privilege to be here, that they should be contributing to our economy, and that is why understanding where skills gaps are and having a proper strategy, which this government has and the previous government just did not at all, so that we're bringing over skills that we need so that we can have people that contribute to our economy, is vital.
Shabana Mahmood's proposal is bold. Migrants who want to stay long-term should do voluntary work. Many see it as a serious step to control migration, yet the Prime Minister called it racist. That label is wrong and dangerous. It shuts down debate and brands ordinary voters as racists. Concerns about immigration are not racism. Legal immigration done right benefits Britain. Farage's call to strip indefinite leave to remain from legal migrants would rip apart communities. Our hospitals rely on migrant workers who keep services running. Yes, we must stop benefit dependency and ensure newcomers contribute, but immigration, when managed with a clear skills-based strategy, strengthens our economy and our country.
Thank you, Liam. It is a wonderful city, and we are so happy to be back here. But conference every year when we come to Liverpool, we are reminded about the depth of loss and pain felt because of 97 people. So many of them young, never came back from a football match. And then shamefully, the state covered up the truth, even colluded in smearing the victims, a stain on our national story. Now, for the past few years, we as a party, I as an individual, have vowed to do what we can to bring a measure of justice to the families affected by this. And I say a measure of justice because nothing can ever replace the loss that is felt so deeply, unimaginable loss. But just as important to reform our state so it can never happen again. So I am delighted to say that this year we do not have to make any more vows. We have a law, the Hillsborough Law. A law which shows that this government is on the side of justice, that we will do the hard yards for working people, and that we're building a country which sees and respects everyone. It's an incredibly important moment for the 97, for Liverpool, but most of all for the whole country. And conference, we must recognise that it was an unacceptably long and hard fight for the campaigners, for the families and victims of Hillsborough, to get us to this point. And so it's not the government that should be thanked, it's not me that should be thanked, it's the families and campaigners who, after such unimaginable loss, had almost every obstacle put in their path to get to justice.